Hello everybody, I'm Rusty. I want to welcome you to Island Breeze Tropicals. So today we're going to be asking the question, what is the right depth to plant our bromeliad pups? So you know what? The sun is shining, the island breeze is blowing. It's time that you and I got growing. Come on, let's have some fun. And why don't we figure out how deep we can plant our bromeliad pups? So before we get going today, if this is your first time to the channel, welcome. It's great to have you with us. If you like what you see, could you do me a favor and hit that like button down there? And why don't you become a member of our Bromeliad family and become a subscriber? Thanks a lot. Now, why don't we get to today's video? Okay guys, today we're going to be asking the question, what is the right depth to plant my bromeliad pup? Now, there is a Goldilocks zone, but I'm going to tell you, you will see that it's not all that difficult. But yes, we can plant them too deep and then we're going to have rot, or we can plant them too high and they won't root quite as well. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you a couple of examples and show you a little bit of trimming. Now, we have gone into how to plant bromeliad pups in the past, but this is going to be a little bit more in-depth about the depth that you want to plant your pups. So I'm going to be showing you 3 examples of pups. The first one is going to be pretty self-evident, and you'll be able to see exactly where you want to plant that in your pot. But the other 2, well, we're going to have to do some work first. Why don't we take a look? And here's a close-up of the roots coming out of a pup, and yes, this pup is pretty much self-explanatory, isn't it? You can see all these roots, so we know that we want these roots right in here. Get my big finger out of the way. We know that we want those roots right there in the soil, but we also know that we don't want to plant this too deep, because if we do, then we're going to be getting rot up in here. So I'm going to show you a little better on how we determine up in here. But no, we're not going to be talking about this today because this is so self-evident, and I don't think we need a tutorial on knowing where we're going to put those roots. So in order to show you the proper depth, we're going to do some cleanup on these 2 smaller pups, and I think you're going to be able to see really well where we're going to have to plant them. Okay guys, so this is an example of the easy way to do it, and that's where you already have roots coming out of the root initiation zone here on the stem. Up here is the meristem of the plant right up there, and this makes it really, really easy. But not all of our pups, when we take them off, are going to be quite that easy. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at those and see just what we have to be able to know in order to plant them at the proper depth. So as I think you can see, this is a little bit more difficult to see because they need some cleaning up. So in order to figure out where you are going to plant your bromeliad pup, you're first going to have to do some cleaning, and I'm going to do that right now. By the way, this is Neoregelia Martin, or Martine, and Neoregelia Sheba. Martine is the one that I've got in my hand right now. And I hope you will excuse the bad camera work, but guys, I don't have a camera person, and I have to do this by myself. So what I am doing is I am peeling off some of what I call the proto leaves, the spear leaves. These were the first leaves that were forming as the pup was growing out from the adult. Now these leaves right here do not serve a useful purpose for this bromeliad. They are not going to be producing photosynthate, another word for carbohydrate. So what we're going to do is we're going to take these off and see if I can keep it in the frame. And the reason that I'm doing this is I want to expose the root initiation zone, and I'm going to show you that in just a second. This is Neoregelia Sheba. And as you can see all those little teeny tiny leaves? Okay, so what we want to do, just like with the Martine, I'm going to trim all the dead stuff off of the base of this plant where we had separated it from the parent plant. You can call it a mother plant if you want to. And this is really simple. You know, guys, generally I don't like to do a work video and bore you to tears, but this is so quick and it will let you know how easy this is. And see, I'm not taking out any of the larger leaves, but this is what we have left. So, okay, we have our Neoregelia Sheba and Martine and the larger Martine, and as you can see, guys, I have them oriented so that, see this little bend right there and right there and right there? That's about where we are going to be looking because that's where the roots are going to come out of. So why don't we do a close-up and see if I can get a little better view of that area. Now, unfortunately, we have some limitations with the camera this morning, and there's a fair amount of glare. So if you take a look, see right there, it looks like a knuckle, doesn't it? Same thing for this over here. Why don't we move our easy one out of the way, and why don't we get these in a little better light? And I'm going to try and show you. Now, it wants to reflect all white on here, and I don't seem to be able to get the camera to cooperate this morning. But if you take a look, this is the old stem right here, and right up here is a knuckle. Now, sometimes, even though if you can see this, you don't really need to do this, but sometimes somewhere in here you may feel the bumps of what I call proto-roots. In other words, that is where the root initiation zone is, but you don't have to know that in order to plant your bromeliad pup. So what's too shallow? Well, that's pretty easy to see right in here. If you have all of this area from here on up, let's see if I can turn and show you my little shovel here. Okay, so if you have that area above the shovel right there, and that is above your substrate line in the pot that you're going to put your pup, that's way too high. So what you want to do is you want to put it right in here and right here, and that is where your roots come out of. Again, if you take a look at this, you can see where those roots are coming out of. Now, yes, they did come out of part of the stem, but this is an older pup and it has more leaves on it, and the ones that are younger are going to be a little bit harder to see. So I do want to touch on one thing before we go any further, and let me get a better close-up of this. Okay, so what I want to show you is you can see where these roots are coming out of our bromeliad here, but this bromeliad is much larger, so don't get hung up too much on color in here. Now, the reason that this area looks like it is the lower stem is that this pup has grown past that root initiation zone, and this is a much smaller pup. I'm going to hold these up and you're going to be able to see the difference in size. So what we're going to be talking about is a smaller pup like this. So don't get hung up on our color here, just get hung up on where the root initiation zone on the pup that you have is. So this is going to show you the size difference between the two pups. Now, this is the pup with the roots coming out of, and as you can see, it's so much larger than this. And as a result, remember that all of these leaves on this one particular pup? Well, they were down here relative to this pup. So we don't want to think too much about the color on this older pup, but we do want to concentrate on where the stem is and root initiation zone on this smaller pup is. So okay, we can see pretty clearly where it would be too high to plant these, what is too low. And here is what's too low. So you need to feel up in here. Can you see how my thumb is compressing this? Now I'm not trying to mash this. Let's see if I can get it like that. Can you see how I'm compressing? That means that our meristem isn't right here. I wouldn't be able to do that. And you can feel right here, if you do that to your pup and you've already cleaned it and you press in gently, that you can feel the meristem. So here's the deal. So up in here, that's not real good because it will cause rot in here. This is not supposed to be below your substrate level. Right about in here. So about like right here to right here where my thumb is, and that is the perfect depth to put your bromeliad pup. Now, guys, I'm trying to tell you probably a little bit more detail than what you're really going to have to do, but the bottom line is don't bury your bromeliad up to here, and don't have your soil line below where your roots come out. And I'll tell you what, you're going to find out just how easy putting your bromeliad pups in substrate and growing them into adults can really be. So okay guys, that's it. I hope you enjoyed learning the right depth to plant your bromeliad pup. See, I told you it wasn't all that difficult, and once you do it, you're going to be able to do it without thinking. It'll be intuitive, and you're going to have bromeliad pups growing for you just fine. So no matter where you are, I hope your sun is shining. I hope you have an island breeze blowing. I know that you and I need to keep growing and have lots of fun. Thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you next time.